on, everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yes, day 6 here on 31 Days of Horror Vol.5. And yes, we're going to take it all the way back to the 30s during the Depression with a film released by Universal, and it is called Murders in the Zoo. This baby right there. That one right up in the corner. Courtesy of Scream Factory, who's putting out these awesome Universal horror collections. This is actually the only film in this collection I've never seen before, so that's why I'm doing it. I don't think I mentioned in any of these videos that I was at least trying to review, or I'm going to be reviewing one film from each decade, from the 20s all the way up to the present day. So this is my pick for the 1930s, which is Murders in the Zoo. Of course, starring Lionel Atwill, Catherine Burke, Charles Ruggles, who I believe was a comedian at the time. But getting into a quick little synopsis here, this is basically about a zoologist played by Lionel Atwill, who is a very ambitious zoologist who travels around the world gathering up these exotic animals to create this awesome and amazing zoo in America. And while he's doing this, he learns that his wife is not being very faithful to him, so he takes matters into his own hands, and a lot of people wind up being killed in this movie. So that is, the general synopsis of the movie. Now, my thoughts on this one, yeah, it's from 1933. It's obviously black and white. Universal picture. It's these old Universal pictures are very kind of standard when it comes to music and stuff. That's the only problem I have with old films, is that they would use like catalog in-house kind of soundtracks and shit. That's old filmmaking for you, though, but it's just always a kind of a gripe I had. I wish they had gotten a little bit more original, because you hear the same music in a bunch of films, which is kind of annoying, but I digress. To the movie, I actually really enjoy this, man. It starts out awesome. We got Lionel Atwill in, I think he's like in, I don't know, he's on some kind of safari or whatever, gathering up these animals. And he learns at this point, right in the beginning of the film, that his wife is not being faithful to him. Well, what does he do? He literally ties this guy's mouth shut and leaves him in the jungle for the wild animals to attack and eat him. That's pretty awesome stuff. I actually love Lionel Atwill's character in this movie. As a zoologist, he's very conniving. He's just really out to get everybody that's falling in love with his wife and stuff. And I absolutely love it. It's very brutal, to say the least, actually, for 1933, of what he's doing and stuff. There's a lot of good elements to this film, and there's some bad ones too. I mean, the first half of the film is definitely not as good as the second half. When the second half comes and he starts really kind of getting rid of a lot of people, that's when the shit kind of picks up. But the first half of the film, we get a little bit more scenes with animals in cages and kind of showing off the zoo and showing off, just all the characters and things like that. Those are the scenes I don't really care for as much, because I hate zoos. I hate seeing animals in cages, and they show a little bit too much of that. The movie only runs about 63 minutes, so it's a quick watch. It does get into the meat and potatoes right away, but the first 20 minutes is a lot of introducing characters, kind of showing off the zoo and things like that. This is where we get introduced to Charles Ruggles' character, who's actually brought in because the zoo itself is having financial issues, so he wants to bring him in. He's like an ex-alcoholic. He wants to bring him in to kind of raise some money for the zoo and things like that, but his character, he's just hamming it up hugely. I know a lot of people always say, back in the day, people kind of overacted in these films and things like that. Well, this is a classic case of that. He's really hamming it up to the point where it actually kind of gets annoying. He may think he's being funny in the film, but he's really not. It's kind of goofy and childish the way he's acting. Really can't stand his character. It's definitely the low point in the film. But once things kind of get going and he realizes that his wife is being really, really unfaithful, yeah, that's when there's some really cool ass scenes. There's a great scene where somebody gets thrown into an alligator pit. That's fucking awesome scene. And a couple other really great scenes in this one too. But it's a quick watch. At 63 minutes, I mean, like I said, there's not a lot of buildup. It gets right into it, and it just kind of comes and goes real quick. I think, it's funny, the longest movies on this set are 66 minutes. Back in the early 30s, man, they were making some short-ass movies, man. It's crazy. And not all the movies were like that. I guess it was just these, Universal kind of lower budgets horror films that they were pumping out at the time that definitely didn't have the budget even to push it past 70 minutes, so... but all in all, man, most of the acting is really good. Kathleen Burke does a great job. Lionel Atwill's amazing. He's always good in everything he's in. I really like that guy. But as for the specs, it's you know, it's kind of shot on sets and things like that, and it's typical 30s Universal type stuff, very low budget, but for the most part, it's actually really good. Love the premise. It's kind of mean-spirited, and I like that in a film. So, Murders in the Zoo. If you've never seen it, check it out from 1933. If I have to rate it, I'm going to come in at about a 7 out of 10. The second half is definitely a lot better than the first half, but that goes for like a lot of these older Universal films. I find Universal films are always like that. So, but yeah, cool stuff. Another kind of mad doctor, scientist type film. Good shit. So that's going to do it here for day 6. I will be back tomorrow with, again, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing, but I did bring down a big stack of films, so I'm starting to get an idea of what I'm going to be doing and kind of a structure for the rest of the 31 Days of Horror, since I've got a lot more things going on. Podcast is back. We recorded the new episode last night, so I'm going to have to be editing that and putting that out this week, and just among other things. So yes, lots of things to do for the rest of the month, so stay tuned, guys. I'll be back tomorrow, and as usual, deuces!